So we are on one-step equations. Does anyone remember what that letter is called in terms of math? Like, what do we call an x? What is that? What is that name for it?
Variable.
Oh, yeah, very good. Okay, so you want to locate the variable. Where is it? Is it on the right side of the equation? Is it on the left side of the equation? Where is it at? What's going on? Then we want to determine what operation we're using with that variable. So operation. Again, if I spell something wrong, operation, you can please let me know. And we know that operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Okay? Then there's this thing called the inverse operation. That just means the opposite. Like if you did adding, you need to be now subtracting. So we're going to do something called the inverse operation. So like I said, if we have addition, what is the inverse operation of addition? How do I get rid of addition? I subtract. Can you guys see this okay? What's the inverse operation of multiplication then? Divide, thank you. Awesome sauce. Then obviously you can check your solution. So I hope that today is boring for you because you know how to do solving. Again, you've been doing it for a while, so hopefully it goes well for you. Solving is something that if you struggle with, you really need to get help now. Go to the media center for help. Well, no, actually they don't do it anymore. The math office for help. See me after school. Just tell me when you're coming, and I can see what I can do. I'm pretty free this semester, but next semester I will not be free at all. So if you need help, get it now so that we can get ready. 'Cause you need to be able to solve for all of the units in this class. But let's start off with one-step equations. Read it left to right. I always try to get you guys to read math. Okay, math isn't just letters and numbers. You can read it. This says x plus 7 equals 1. If you were to say that in your head. So if it says x plus 7, what's the inverse operation or the opposite of adding 7? That's going to be the answer, but what did you do to get there? I subtracted the 7 to both sides. Down the equal sign, because what you do to one side, you must do to the other. If you write -7 over here, you must do it on the other side too. Okay, so this goes away, and I was told that -8 was our answer, and that is correct. Again, if I owe you $1 and I borrowed 7 more from you, I now owe you 8. Okay. Do number 2 for me. Get a ticket if you get it. All right. So you should have got 2, which all of you did, so I'm really, really excited about that. So remember the first step in this problem when I walked around, a couple of you were moving the 9. That's okay. Okay, it happens. But again, ask yourself, the first step always is, where is the variable? There it is, I just located it. It's on the left side. That means everything else has to go to the right. Okay, so I have a -11, which I know the opposite is adding it. So I get m equals 2. Always find where your variable is first and be like, okay, now everything else needs to get to the other side. Okay? Now let's look at 3. Just because the variable's on the right side, there it is. I'm going to use my highlighter, and if you ever need highlighters, they're over there by the handouts. There it is. I'm pointing to it. There's h. It's on the right side. So I need to get rid of everything else on the right side, which the 14 is there. What do I have to do to 14 to get it to the left side? You're the best. Subtract 14. Because even though the 14 does not have a positive sign in front of it, we know it's a positive 14. Okay? Now that cancels that out. Because 14 minus 14 is 0. The h comes down. What is 9 minus 14? -5. Again, calculators are fine with me. Always give it a try first, and then type in the calculator. Okay? Okay, do 4 for me, and I'll give you a ticket if you get it correct. I know you're all like, oh, come on, let's move faster. I know this is easy. I get it. Number 4. Good. Okay, I do this a lot when I want to make sure that you're understanding something. Okay, I am going to throw negatives at you like crazy, and here's why. Because so many teachers will be like, oh, they're not getting negatives, they're not going to give them No. You're getting negatives in this class because you need to understand what negative numbers are. Okay? Money. You need to know if someone owes you money. Because there's so many times we'll be like, okay, I borrowed $9 from you, but then I borrowed 9 more. Like, oh, I don't owe you anything. I'm like, really? Okay, no, you owe me $18. Give me my money. Okay? So I want to make sure you understand it. And again, you're going to hate me now, but you're going to love me later when you understand what negative numbers are. So again, I'm adding 8, getting everything away from the k. It's gone. Disappears. Bring down the k. What is negative 21 plus 8? You guys all got it right. So negative 13. Huh? You could go, yeah, it doesn't really matter. You can really just switch it if you want, but awesome. Okay, next one here. We're going to kind of skip around a little bit. 5, read it left to right. It says 4a, which really is 4 times a. When they're right next to each other, it's multiplication, equals negative 24. Locate the variable. There it is. There's a. That means everything else must go away from it. It's like it's on fire. Everyone's got to run away from it. What do I got to do to get rid of that 4? Divide. Good. Remember, when you read it left to right, it says 4 times a. So the opposite of times is divide. Okay, so it's always the opposite of what it's currently doing. So you are only left with a equals what? Negative 24 divided by 4. Yes. Beautiful. Negative 6. I have a negative number and a positive number. When I'm dividing them, I'm left with a negative. Now you see why we do extra math as much as you hate it. You know, I want these concepts to be quick. Do 6. I'll walk around and see how you did. I hate that clock's still off. They're like lightning fast. 8. You need help, Alexa? Look at you. Try to figure out what it is. I'm glad that you're using your brain.
Oh, I didn't see the variable. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a big thing is you need to know where the variable's at. That's one of the most common errors is you move the numbers to the wrong side because you don't know where the variable is at. Okay, so some people will like try to move the 56, but the variable's not over there. You only move numbers that are close to the variable. Okay, so when I do this, I told you yesterday, if there is a negative or a positive in front of a number, it goes with it. It's attached. That's a negative 7. Yes. What did you get?
Never mind. I got this one on mine.
Don't get a decimal.
I switched it.
You switched it. Be careful. And you should get a what? A positive 8, which all of you got when I walked around. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. 7 and 8, if you were to pay attention to something today, this is one of the things that you really need to understand. For some reason, these ones seem to be difficult for people, and a lot of students tend to get it wrong. But you shouldn't. Again, read it left to right. This means division. We talked about that yesterday. N divided by negative 5. So what must I do instead? To multiply. If I'm dividing originally, that means I must then multiply instead. And that goes away. So many times kids will write negative 5n. It's gone. Once you multiply both sides by that negative 5, it disappears. So I get n equals what number?
Negative 45.
Beautiful. Good job. You guys know all that trick for the 9s? Right? With the hands? Right? 9 times 5 is 45. And that works for everything? You never learned that? Stop it. Okay. If you ever get stuck, and I do this all the time, 9 times 6, I put down the 6, right? That 6 is 54. 9 times 7 is 63. Isn't that cool? You're never going to do that? Like when if you're like, what's 9 times 5? Oh, it's 45. Like I literally do it all the time. I'm like, I like that. Okay, well, on the SAT, you might never know. Okay, what am I going to do for 8?
You multiply 2 times 8.
And you get?
16.
16. Remember, locate the variable. So many times students will multiply by 2. Okay? You need to make sure you know where you're going and flip when you're ready to go. two-steppers. We're moving on. Again, you've done all of this before, so again, if it's boring, take it. Next week we start chapter 4, which you've done a little bit before, but we take it a little bit further. Okay, so two-step equations. Again, we're still going to locate where the variable's at. We're still going to do that. And we're going to still use the inverse operation. Okay. You can obviously check your answers by plugging it back in. That could be a very useful skill on a test if you have multiple choice, plugging that in. And we'll go over those when we start doing bell ringers next week. Because I put a lot of multiple choice questions on there so we get used to them. Okay, take a look at this. Is the variable on the left side or the right side of the equation? The left. Good. So with math, and I know math has been hard for a lot of you. I get that. I read all your peer decks. I understand. Okay, I know it could be stressful. But the more you actively engage in the lesson, I'm telling you, the easier it gets. Like, I will push you until you start saying it. Because even if it's wrong, it's okay. At least you're doing stuff. At least your brain's moving. Okay, you always want to do the one that's furthest away. So here's A. Is 9 furthest away or 2 furthest away? 2. How do I get rid of a negative 2?
Add it.
I add it. Very good. What I do to one side of the equation, I must do to the other. That disappears. I bring down the 9a. What is negative 65 and adding 2 to it?
62.
Good, but positive or negative? There you go. Do you see how there's a lot of negative numbers in here? Again, I'm going to push you to understand what negative numbers are. Okay. Now what do? We just kind of talked about all this. Yeah. It is multiplying currently. So how do I get rid of it? I divide. Very good. You see how it's always the opposite. Right now it says, like when you're reading it in English words, 9 times A. That's really what that says. So when you think, what's the opposite of 9 times A? It's dividing by 9. So what is then your final answer? Negative 7. Very good. My A's look like 9s. I'm still getting used to this. I apologize. How do you feel about that one? Easy to you? Okay, we're going to go down to 3. I usually put a lot of problems in there just in case we have extra time or we need more practice. So sometimes we will skip around. Okay. Locate your variables on the left side or the right side of the equation. The left. Good. Now that means that everything else must go to the right. If I just said left, what number is furthest away from the variable? And what am I going to do with 11 to both sides? Good. Add 11. Because that makes it go away on the left side of the equation. Questions on that? So I'm just going to rewrite it. K divided by 3 equals what number?
16.
Beautiful. Now we're back to that one step where we did last page. Read it. K divided by 3.
Multiply by 3.
Thank you. Very good. Multiply by 3. I'm like really animated, so just be prepared for that. So what then does K equal? You might need a calculator for this one or go off to the side. Yes. 48. Please ask right now if there's a question on something that I did that you don't understand. I think once we get back in the swing of the one steps, this becomes pretty simple. Okay. Let's go. I want to go to number 6. Because 6 is kind of like, whoa, what's going on? Okay, just because the variable is on now the right side of the equation does not make it any different. Okay, we still have to get everything away. What number am I going to move to the left side first? You are going to subtract 1. Very good. And that goes away. What you do to one side of that equation sign, you must do to the other. So if I owed you $6 and I asked for one more dollar, now how much do I owe you? How many dollars do I owe you? Negative, what? Not 1. 7, very good. You're good. I owe you 6, I'm like, hey, give me another $1. Now I owe you 7. I'm gonna make you pay me, no matter what. Bring everything down. We didn't do anything with this guy, we just brought him down. Now, we're back to that one step. Read it left to right. It says negative 7 equals n divided by 4. How do I get rid of the 4? Yes.
Multiply by negative 4.
Very good. I like that you said multiply by negative 4. Last period I got multiply by 4. There's a difference. Remember that negative is always attached. Always. It goes with it. And then we're done. But what is negative 4 times negative 7? Very good. 2 negatives make a positive. Do you have questions? Something that you want me to explain to you? Yes.
I know nothing
About solving? Okay, we're going to have to set it up a tutor day then. Because I think this Thursday you can come in the morning. It's tutor day. Or we can schedule something after school, okay? Don't worry about it. We'll talk. Okay. Now let's go ahead and let's move down to the next part. This is probably, if you were to do something, if you were to pay attention to something in the lesson today, this is it right here. Because this is the most common incorrect answers that we get is when you're given a fraction. And I know fractions are terrifying to some of you. Don't make them terrifying. It actually is pretty simple. So, there is something called the reciprocal, if you remember that. Reciprocal. And all that really is doing is you're flipping the fraction. Because when you multiply by the flipped fraction, if you notice, they're going to cancel, which I'll show you in a second. So what's the reciprocal of 4 9ths? If I flip it, how would you say that? 9/4. 9 over 4. That's the reciprocal. That is an awful 9. 9/4. Okay, that's the reciprocal. And you're going to see what happens. It's pretty cool. So we're going to do the same steps. We're locating the variable. There it is. What is the reciprocal of 2/3? When I flip it? 3 over 2. So all I'm going to do is both sides multiply by 3 over 2 on this both sides. It's the same exact thing you were doing, but now you're just doing fractions. Okay, it's the same exact thing. Now look how cool this is. The 3's are gone because 3 divided by 3 is 1. The 2's are gone because 2 divided by 2 is 1. That's why we do that, to get rid of it. Because we're going to be done now. You can type this in your calculator or do it in your head. Go ahead and type that in your calculator or do it in your head. 48 times 3 halves. 3 divided by 2. Do you know how to put that in your calculator? Or you can just multiply straight across. You can pretend that there's a 1 there. What's 48 times, times 3? 48 times 3. You need a calculator. Got a bunch of them over here. The 2 bins. Yeah, pull out the first or second bin. I need 48 times 3. I don't use keys, so I need you to help me out. What'd you say? Yep. Yep, you're right. 144. Remember yesterday we multiplied straight across? That's what we're doing. Okay, 1 times 2 is 2. Now we're here. What's 144 divided by 2? Yeah. 72. It is 72. Good job. Or you could have just typed all that in. Like you could have just done 48 times 3 halves. But if you're doing it in your head, that's how you would have done it. It's how I would have done it if I was doing it in my head. Okay? All right. 8 is the same thing, but we're just adding another step. Locate the variable. There it is. What is the furthest number away from the variable? The 5, 6, or the 9? The 9. So what do I do to both sides to get rid of it? Add it. Very good. Gone. So just because it's a fraction, pretend it's not. Don't make that scary. It's the same thing as a 2-step equation. So then we have 10 equals 5 over 6 C. To get rid of this fraction, you have to multiply by the reciprocal, which is the switching. What is the reciprocal of 5 over 6?
6/5.
There you go. See? 6 over 5. And again, look what's so cool about this is that's gone. You're left with C. Now, again, put this all in your head, or all in your calculator, or try to do it in your head. What do you think you got?
12.
It is 12. Good. Because 6 times 10, 60, divided by 5 is 12. Or you could just put that in your calculator. Literally, just type in. Does everyone know how to put a fraction in their calculator? You could do that. Yeah, you could. Yep. There's 2 ways you can do it. So if you're like, I'm never going to get that because I don't know how to put it in the calculator, what operation is this again? Division. Just press divide. You can do 6 divided by 5 in your calculator. Press enter. And then times it by 10. Okay? Or you can, yeah. Lots of ways that you can put in your calculator. I just got the calculator put on my computer. I have to download it. So tomorrow I can actually do the calculator stuff with you too. Okay. So you got 12. Awesome. We're only going to do one problem with the next section because it's all the same. So it's actually pretty simple. I'm not going to write out the steps either for you because I feel like it's the same repetitive. I tend to do that where I'm like, it's getting a little bit late. Let's just keep going. You don't really need these steps because it's the same as the last ones. Let's take a look at number 1. If you read it, I have x minus 1 on the top, all divided by 6. I have to get rid of this bottom part before I can do anything. How do I get rid of dividing by 6? Good. I multiply it by 6. Gone. Because look at that. It's gone. You want that. That's your goal. Your goal is to get 1. Because 6 divided by 6 is 1. That's why we're doing that. And that's why we can do that. So I'm left with x minus 1 equals what? 12. Thank you. Okay, now we're back to that one-step equation. That's super simple, right? So that was the only hard part, was being able to realize that I had to multiply by 6. That was it. Now I feel like you're fine from here. What do I do now? I add 1. And I get 13. Please do number 4 for your homework. So complete number 4, and then we will give you your homework if you get it correct. Did I do something wrong? Did I get it?